The Jimmy Aurora 4K was definitely something of a new experience for us. I wonder how a laser projector would hold up on home performance, and when I found out it either needs a specific setup or it manages to perform with next to none at all. What Jimmy was able to do was create something that worked pretty much out of the box, but when I dove into a specific set of features, I found some limitations. This is Remy with Level 1, and this is a UST, or Ultra Short Throw Projector, for those that don't know, which is great on many fronts with those that have limited space. But before I get too much into how best to use these types of projectors, let's talk a bit about specs. Now, this projector is 4K, has HDR10 projector with 2400 lumens, which is actually a pretty good set of lumens. It can reach about anywhere between 100 to 120 inches, and you could even do a little bit even more, about 150 inches, but let's keep a base at 120 inches on the wall. The projector in itself is actually pretty impressive with its 4K. Being true 4K and being able to produce about 8.3 million individual pixels on screen, it actually gives you a really good look. It's a ALPD technology and HDR10 to give you some pretty great colors as you're looking at this. Now, what's really good about it also is that it has Harman Kardon sounds, so 2 tweeters and 2 woofers at 15 watts each, delivering crisp and high dynamic mid-ranges and being able to produce a solid sound for something that would come generally out of a TV or even a projector. The unit in itself provides a lot of actual different options, being able to give you anywhere between 4 HDMI inputs, other factors for audios, whether you have some sort of external receiver or being able to wanting to do it straight from the projector itself, or the way the projector looks. So it's a silver with a soundbar look finish at the end where the actual speaker is, and it actually looks pretty elegant. Not a small projector in its own right, pretty big boy, and that's to align itself with some of the higher end projectors in the same space. So nothing new there. The remote on the projector is also pretty useful, has a slick silver look to it, resembling some other TVs and stuff that I've seen, like Samsung's, having a clickable wheel, and then even interesting features like if you get close to the projector and stuff like that, it'll basically try to turn pieces of the lens off so it's not blinding you, even though that shouldn't happen depending on its setting, which is different than the conventional projector, being that someone crossing where the screen would be would obviously have you looking either directly at the light or obstructing other people's view. Now let's talk setup. An ultra short throw projector allows you to work with the fact that this needs to be only about 8 inches away from any given screen or wall that you'd like to project it on, and you being able to get a full picture versus a conventional projector needing to be anywhere between 11 to 20 feet and needing to have that picture to give you a solid color. What the difference lets you end up making up is that a brighter image can be on the screen depending on how powerful the projector is, because there's less obstruction happening between the screen and the projector itself. Not only that, but it allows for you being able to utilize more space since the projector can now be just inches away from the screen. Another good feature on this is the onboard OS that's attached. Now, this is actually running Android TV, which is very helpful. It's one of those things that I feel like I'd highly recommend on any sort of projector end, which is utilizing a standardized OS. So that being Google, you're able to go into the Google Store, Google Play, and just being able to download different things. Now, I'm sure there are things that are very specific to the projector. At your own will, if you want to see other things on the device that normally aren't there, you'd have to just do it at your own discretion. But otherwise, lots of things that can definitely pack from it, being things like Netflix and Max and different sort of video apps, and then other things that you can utilize with it as well. Setting up the projector as well doesn't take that long, being that this is very much in front of the screen nearly. You're able to set that up a way you want accordingly, and with an 8-point system that lets you calibrate where the screen, where you want the image to the screen to be with what's on the wall, lets you give a flush view. Now, we wish we actually seen some of the newer XGIMI projectors that have an auto keystone, so it would be really nice to have a feature like this, but it does get you where you want to go with the 8-point projector, and we were able to do that, especially when it was initially very skewed when we set it up, and was able to get to a really good picture at the end. So I want to pull the guys in closer here for those that use conventional projectors. So if you are used to a setup where you have something on the wall that you throw up where it goes onto the screen, you may want to pay attention. Setup is important here. This is very different than your conventional projector setup. When you are actually placing the units, it is good to do so in a place where it's in a flat surface. It is the only thing that is going to appear on that actual flat surface, or even on the ground or anything else, but that nothing is in the way or is distracting. We come specifically from a traditional projector setup, so there actually had to be some modifications on what was going to be under the actual projector screen itself, and it ended up being a little bit tricky. Also, depending on the setup, we have a Elite ALR screen, which is supposed to be pretty good for any type of projector unit, and this one I feel like, I'm not sure if it was the specific projector itself or the screen, but we know that it needed the room to be dimly lit or dark for it to show a really bright image. We felt that it was a little bit more washed out than usual. Even though we saw the picture come in crisp, we wish that things seemed a little bit brighter than how we had initially had it when we set it up. With a little bit of tweaking, we got a little bit better, but we still felt like it could have been a little bit brighter. Not only that, but we've seen, and that's maybe more of a laser projector thing depending on your setup, we saw a lot of the beaming of light coming from like the ceiling. So depending on how you're viewing it, what you're viewing, and what time of day you're viewing, you'll see particles of the picture itself bouncing off the screen and then going in different places that are not the screen itself, because now something that is really bright is much closer to the screen than usual. Another interesting portion here is performance in itself. Now we found that being able to view video off of this was very good. Everything looked pretty crisp for what I was looking at. And then obviously if you wanted to move on to gaming, which we do a lot of, we played everything from things for the PS5 and things for Xbox Series, Halo and such, and games having to do with like 4K, and things actually looked good. Performance in itself, when it came to the button that I'm pressing to what I'm viewing on screen, that is about, I believe 45 milliseconds, so it's a little bit of a higher end for a projector. Would not play anything that was having to do in a ranked or competitive fashion, but things having to do with single player or having fun with racing games and stuff like that, those are some of the more fun that you'll have versus anything that needed a Twitch response, like fighting games or first-person shooters, or even like games that we play normally like Brawlhalla. Those you'll need, it's not the best case use for this. This projector overall is definitely for the home cinematic person. Definitely someone that has a setup where they have the receiver, your whole entertainment unit, a fixed screen, or even depending on if you want like some sort of screen that pulls down or comes down from a wall that would be dedicated to do. This is definitely not a projector that you move around, and with a couple of tweaks you'll have a really nice crisp picture, as long as we feel like you have a room which is pretty dark, which is obviously supposed to be as much as you should be doing with projectors. But this one you're gonna have to be a little bit more conscious on, even though that it is a laser projector and it is an ultra short throw, so it is supposed to give you more light. We do recommend that you do have things in a more isolated, dark setting. With all those features in mind, you're able to get a really good image off this XGIMI, and we had a lot of fun working that out. Hope you guys like this review and overview of the XGIMI Aurora 4K laser projector. We had a lot of fun using this one. Definitely comment, like the video, and definitely let us know what you want us to check out next. This is Remy with Level 1. Check you on the next one.